This is a presentation of Wordly Wise Chapter 2 vocabulary. As you view this presentation, you will need the viewing guide with you. At the end of each slide, I will ask you to pause the presentation and answer the question on the viewing guide. We will begin with the first vocabulary word, affect. Affect means to cause a change. Changing schools might affect your grades. The hot weather affects her mood. In both of these examples, affect shows us that some change has occurred. Now, affect has another very different meaning. It means also to pretend. An example is, the professor affected a British accent in order to appear more sophisticated. In this example, the professor pretended to have a British accent because he wanted to look more sophisticated or more city-like or more special. Another example is, the lawyer affected knowledge of the case, but to me it was clear he did not understand it. In this example, the lawyer pretended to know about the case, but he really did not understand it. Now, pause the presentation and answer question number 1 on your viewing guide. The next word is calculate. Calculate means to use arithmetic or math facts to solve a problem. An example is, the store clerk calculated the total with a calculator. Or, you need to calculate the answer using mental math. So calculate could be, we could use a calculator to calculate, or we could just use our own thinking abilities to calculate the answer using mental math. Another meaning of calculate is also a verb, which means to figure out using logic. Now, logic means the kind of thinking you use that is based on common sense. An example is, we should calculate the risks before we go on the trip with this old car. In this case, we need to look at the risks. What could happen? What could go wrong? And then we make our decision. Now, pause the presentation and answer question number 2 on the viewing guide. The next word is climate. Now, climate is a noun, which means the general weather in an area. Florida's climate is excellent for growing oranges. So the climate in Florida is warm and sunny. Another example is, the climate on the coasts is affected by winds that come from the ocean. So on the coasts, they're talking about the East Coast and the West Coast. The East Coast is where we live in New Jersey. The West Coast is California. In both places, winds that come from the ocean affect the climate. Now, pause the presentation and answer question number 3 on the viewing guide. The next word is forbid. Forbid is a verb, which means not allow. The first example is, the law forbids smoking in restaurants. The school forbids candy. In both examples, something is not allowed. Forbidden is an adjective form of the word. Pushing in the playground is forbidden. Riding a bike without a helmet is forbidden. In these cases, it has the same meaning as forbid, it's just a different form and a different way that we use it. Now, pause the presentation and answer question number 4 on the viewing guide and use the word forbidden. The next word is mature. Mature is a verb which means to become fully grown, to be grown up, to become fully grown up. Rabbits mature in about 6 months, kittens in about 12. So a rabbit becomes an adult in 6 months and a kitten becomes an adult in 12 months. Another example, as the mango matures, it becomes redder. So as the mango gets older and more developed, it becomes redder. Now, mature is also an adjective, which means fully grown. So an example is, he is very mature for his age. He acts older than 8. So in this example, the boy is 8, but he acts like he's maybe 10 or 12. He acts very mature for his age. Another example is, this movie is not for children. It is for a mature audience. In this case, a mature audience means a grown-up audience, an adult audience. Now, pause the presentation and answer question 5 on the viewing guide. The next word is very special because it has 2 different pronunciations with 2 different meanings. The first pronunciation is permit, which means to allow. An example is, the town permits skating on the pond in the winter. Our teacher permits us to use calculators. So that's the first pronunciation, permit. The second pronunciation is permit. A permit is a noun, and it's a paper that allows a person to do something. So, the boy is old enough to get a driver's permit. The city requires a building permit in order to make any changes to a building. So again, permit means to allow. Permit is a piece of paper that gives permission. Now, pause the presentation and answer question 6 on your viewing guide. The last word is tower. To tower is a verb which means to stand above what is around it. So, the Empire State Building towers over Midtown Manhattan, meaning the Empire State Building is much taller than the other buildings in the area. Or, the basketball player towered over everyone in the room. So the basketball player was much taller than everyone else. The other word is the adjective form towering with an ing at the end, which means very tall, and this is an adjective. It's a describing word. And the example is, look up at the towering skyscrapers. Or, the towering trees of the redwood forest are a wonder of nature. So here, towering means very tall. And as you can see, the towering trees of the redwood forest are incredible. They're a beautiful part of nature. Now, pause the presentation and use the internet to look up the building called One World Trade Center. This building is also called the Freedom Tower. This is the building that replaced the Twin Towers, which were destroyed on 9/11. On the back of the page, draw a picture of this building. Also, find out what is special about this building's height. This height means how tall the building is. So the building is a certain height, and there's something special about the height of this building. See if you can find out what is special about the height of the building.